A boy who had his memories erased from his useless mind, making him the most questionable thing to exist in this world. Fortunately for Yuki, he has a few friends that can guide him towards the right path, although if you consider that path to be kidnapped and eaten every moment you look away, then yeah, so for whatever reason Yuki has a habit of being kidnapped, and him, being the clueless person he is, can't even do anything against it. Yuki, who has no sense of direction, comes across an elf-like goddess named Lady Ameth. Needing some time to repair her damaged self, she informs Yuki that she assigns someone else to serve as his guide. If only finding replacements was that easy in real life. She wishes to talk more to Yuki, as if she didn't tell him, in the beginning, to not look at her, as it is disturbing her repair work. As his time is running out, he gets his useless self thrown into another world. As he is in free fall, anyone seeing it from afar would consider it a shooting star. Meanwhile, another elf named Kokoro is on her way to meet Yuki, who has just fallen from the sky. As she anticipates meeting Yuki for the first time, she slowly walks up to the place where she'd find him. The moment is not as delightful as she expected it to be, as the person she is calling her lord is currently laying on the ground unconscious while two wolves pull him like beef jerky. After a moment of staring between the wolves and Kokoro, the wolves make a run with their food. The poor girl rushes to save him, after which she awaits his waking up. Kokoro tells him that she was sent by Lady Ameth to act as his guide, since he has no memories of his past life. Kokoro serves Yuki with some food, but it seems like someone else also seeks their food at the same time. Yes, the wolves are back, and Kokoro might have expected Yuki to defeat them and start to regain his abilities gradually. But Yuki gets slammed by the wolves and dragged away once again, making for Kokoro chase them for the second time. After she saves them, a mute Yuki pretends to be fine by showing his biceps, as if that will prove he is strong. Kokoro is about to be relieved when the act fails and Yuki once again falls unconscious. Meanwhile, an orange-haired girl gets her sword stolen by two thieves who pretend to be sick and send her to get some medicine. The poor girl runs after them, trying to get her parents' legacy back from them. Yuki and Kokoro are in Landisol, where they first get some crepes, while Yuki learns a lesson that money is important and how it is used. They decide to stay in a lodge for the night, but Kokoro is unaware of how expensive lodging is. Being a nice soul, Yuki offers to camp out without any tantrums. Kokoro is about to doze off when she hears a commotion. And of course, it's the motherfricking wolves again, who clearly has some type of beef with him. And you got Yuki, who doesn't even wake his slow self up, even though he's literally being dragged on the ground. The next day, Kokoro is about to go get some money for their needs, but Yuki refuses to be away from her and tags along towards a guild. Karo, a guild association member, suggested they go to collect some mushrooms. The slow sword girl still follows the two thieves, assuming they need their medicine, and not at all realizing how she got scammed. The men hide in the bushes where they get attacked. In the same ruins, Kokoro and Yuko collect mushrooms when Yuki stumbles upon Pecorine, the same girl who had been robbed by bandits. Seeing that Pecorine looked weak and famished, Yuki and Kokoro whipped her up with some food. Pecorine is a name given to her by Kokoro, who even named a cute mushroom, Pachiko, and kept it in her bag. The three of them are suddenly attacked by humongous mushrooms with the courtesy of someone's magic. Without skipping a beat, the trio really sprang themselves into a battle against motherfricking mushroom monsters. And somehow, they are actually losing this fight. But seeing his friends in danger, Yuki swings his sword and unleashes a hidden power deep inside him. That gives power to Kokoro and Pecorine, giving them a win against literal mushrooms. As they collect the mushrooms for the guild, the small, cute mushrooms turn out to be fungi that suck out the nutrients of humans like they are X's. Pachiko is about to do that too, but gets devoured by Pecorine, who gets drunk level drowsy in response. Kokoro and Yuki travel back to Landisol carrying the mushrooms in the lousy group. Yuki and Kokoro decided to visit a restaurant for a bite. To their surprise, they stumbled across Pecorine in an eating contest. She quickly finished eating and won. Pecorine saw the two bandits who stole her sword in the crowd and tried to give them the medicine that they needed, sadly forgetting the prize money she won. As a cat girl observed her from afar named Carol, the three of them try to find the men, but end up coming across a giant pig monster. Pecorine steps forward to defeat the monster to protect the town. The monster seems to be possessed by Carol, but it doesn't matter whether possessed or not, the monster is only worth a single punch of Pecorine. They then try to find the men, but find Carol instead, who had been knocked out by the pig that Pecorine sent flying. They wait for her to wake up, after which a guilty Pecorine apologizes profusely and offers Carol some food. However, the food was still piping hot, and Carol gets angry and storms off in a huff. While Carol is in the tree plotting how to get rid of Pecorine, she spots the two bandits carrying a crystal sword, being chased by a fierce black dragon. Realizing that it's Pecorine's stolen sword, Carol gets an idea. With Carol's pretend help, the group navigates their way to the valley where the dragon is nesting. Yuki attempts to distract the dragon, but let's just say things don't go as exactly as planned. The dragon picks Yuki in his mouth where the sword also rests, but Yuki is confident that Kokoro's magic will keep him safe. Meanwhile, Pecorine jumps on the dragon and rushes towards its mouth to get her sword back and save Yuki. However, Carol finds this the perfect opportunity to control the dragon with her magic and send it on a rampage. Her whole aim revolves around getting rid of Pecorine for some reason. Wanting to eliminate her, Carol sends the dragon flying in a maniac manner so Pecorine might fall. And she half succeeds, but the hair roots of the Afro man who stole her sword are strong enough to keep her from falling for a while. However, Carol's increased intensity of magic makes the dragon go wilder and Pecorine ends up falling and ripping off the hair of the man from the middle. Yuki uses the crazy flying of the dragon to bring it in front of a free-falling Pecorine, who takes the moment to punch the dragon and make it fall. She uses this to support herself from the impact. As the dragon falls too close to Carol, it comes out of her control and sees her as its potential target. To her luck, Pecorine had managed to retrieve her sword. With the mighty crystal sword in hand, she slices through the dragon with ease, and they find a massive treasure trove of gold. The two bandits are grateful for being saved and thank Pecorine. Inspired by their adventure, Pecorine decides to start a guild with Yuki and Kokoro since the latter two have been looking for a job. Carol refuses to join them and walks away even though she feels anxious hating on them now. 3. Pecorine strolled down the streets of Landisol, munching on delicious treats. Meanwhile, Yuki sees a weak girl. Assuming she is hungry, he gives her a rice ball. But let's just say that's probably the worst mistake he could have made. Kokoro gets the application form for the guild and walks up to Yuki for them to find Pecorine. However, this dumb girl is currently with the two bandits, getting another dose of food. Kokoro and Yuki find Carol outside the restaurant where Pecorine is, but they don't realize that she is spying on Pecorine to find out her weaknesses. The two of them take Carol inside with them after hearing her stomach growl. The poor cat cannot even pretend to be arrogant in front of them. Inside, the two bandits named Charlie and Akaki are in a food coma after having food worth a pile of plates while Pecorine still sits actively inviting the other three to join them for more food. The three of them have their food delivered while Carol sits grumpily pretending like she doesn't care about food. Pecorine tries to force food in her mouth yet again only to get called out by Carol. Still pleasant, Pecorine asks her to choose something else from the menu, which Carol does. However, the owner blankly tells them that they are out of ingredients because Ms. Foodie ate everything in the restaurant. Carol starts shouting at her, but Pecorine tells the owner that she heard about their secret menu and would like to have that. When the food is served, it turns out to be bug food, but only Carol seems to be of the sane mind to call out the absurdity of this food. Pecorine tries to make Carol taste the food while Kokoro and Yuki do it on their own, shocking the poor traumatized girl. Pecorine manages to force-feed Carol this time, who is herself shocked that the food tastes good, and she decides to eat with them this time. During the tea after food, Kokoro rings up the guild application, which makes Pecorine happy, but Carol shows disinterest in it and leaves. Outside, Carol tries out a tangy fruit from a tree, realizing it would go perfectly with the bug food. She is disturbed by a strange woman who mentions waiting for something to happen in these boring days. Carol leaves, not wanting to talk much to her. The next day, Pecorine tells Kokoro and Yuki that she got a job at the same restaurant, making Kokoro clench the guild application form behind her back. At the restaurant, Pecorine is enjoying her time while serving people as Kokoro and Yuki have their meal there too. Carol is walking outside the restaurant thinking about how she got told by her master to keep an eye on Pecorine instead of killing her for now. Wanting to comply, she enters the restaurant only to find Pecorine feeding the bug food to some little girls. She scolds Pecorine for doing so while Kokoro fidgets behind Carol with the application form in her hand. Carol is about to say something to Kokoro until she recalls why she has been here. The conversation is disrupted by a fat dude busting through the restaurant doors, having the nerve to insulting everyone, like he isn't on my 600-pound for life show, and wants to try out the motherfreaking bug food out of all the food. The owner comes at him for insulting the place only to be slammed down by the fat guy. Helping the owner, Pecorine decides to serve him the food even though she never cooked this specific meal. Carol adds the fruit juice to the food before he can try it, and when the fatty does so, he reaches heaven even though he pretends to not like it. As the guy acts out, Pecorine throws him out of the restaurant. After the chaos calms, Carol tells them she is ready to join their guild. So the four of them registered their gourmet guild that will investigate and seek every type of cuisine and ingredient in the world. A job that is everyone's dream job. The four are thrilled to finally have gotten a house, but upon arrival, their excitement quickly turns to disappointment. The place had been abandoned for years and was filled with dust, bugs, and snakes. Wanting to finally have a secure roof over their heads, they decide to make the place worth living. The group rolled up their sleeves and got to work, determined to turn the rundown shack into a sparkling guild house. As they clean up, Pecorine finds a huge issue in the house, while Carol doesn't know what another issue could be when the house itself is an issue. Pecorine mentions they don't have any table in the house to dine on, and it brings a problem to the aim of their guild. Carol offers they can go and buy one, but Pecorine thinks to enjoy the meals, the table needs to be special, so she should build one. As she starts cutting the tree for it, Kokoro informs Carol that she is going to get some necessary supplies for the house. Carol makes sure that the room is free of bugs, snakes, and ghosts before she starts cleaning up stuff. Determined to get everything nice and neat, she wipes everything hard. Meanwhile, Kokoro is trying to buy all the supplies while also not spending all the money they have. She meets a girl named Saren, who is the manager of the Serendia orphanage. She helps Kokoro buy her supplies and then asks her troublemaker maid Suzime to help Kokoro carry the supplies back home in their cart. The only problem is the two of them end up losing their way and getting lost in the forest. There, a bat surprises Suzime, making the donkey shriek and run away. The two of them now try to hunt down an animal to pull their cart when they come across a disgusting llama-like animal named Rima who can talk. Rima is offended at being called an animal and wears clothes to blend into humans. She agrees to help them carry their cart. Carol wants to clean the windows at the height and asks Yuki to get on the stacked chairs while she holds them. While he cleans, Carol tells Yuki to not depend on others too much even if he has lost his memory. Yuki tells her alright, but Carol can tell his dumbass doesn't mean it, as a bug travels up her leg making her jump, resulting in Yuki falling and passing out. Opening his eyes, he finds himself in front of a meth who tells her to be careful of the enemy, and how the three girls have their demons to overcome, especially Carol. Yuki wakes up thinking it was all just a strange dream. As the three of them try to get the table through the house, they finally realize that Pecorine somehow made the table too big, so Pecorine once again gets to work. Meanwhile, on the way, a girl named Rima fights down some bandits and begins stuffing her face like herself and transforms into a human bada. The three in the house finally succeed in making the house nice and pretty, and Kokoro happens to get back in time too. The four then relax a little and then have a nice dinner after a busy, somewhat useful day. After settling into their newly cleaned guild house, Yuki falls ill with a terrible cold. Kokoro tries to help him with old-school remedies while Pecorine tries to treat him to nutritious food. And why is the food made out of fricking bugs? Carol, being the only sane person, cannot take it anymore and decides he needs to go to a real hospital. They find a hospital while searching, but to their surprise, all the staff over there are dressed up as magicians. Yuki must probably be thinking he was in for some magical treatment, and oh, he got some special treatment alright. The two doctors take him to the operating room while Kokoro starts burning some bugs, asking a meth to cure him. The other two girls stop her from burning stuff in a hospital while none of them sees the bloody handprints on the walls, making it look more like a mental asylum than a hospital. A patient crashes into them while trying to escape, the patient being the fatty who insulted the bug food, but now the fatty is too skinny to be recognized. And remember when I said that was probably the worst mistake he could have made about 5 minutes ago? Yeah, the demon girl who had previously been helped by Yuki. She was working as a nurse at the hospital and had an obsession with Yuki, and let's just say Yuki will forever be traumatized by this moment. The girl Eriko is seen by the three dragging the not-so-fatty back to his room. After the operation, they are not allowed to see Yuki, so they head back. Eriko has been looking for Yuki ever since he gave her food, claiming he was her soulmate. So when she finds him in the hospital, she creepily stares at him and doesn't leave his side, traumatizing the poor guy. The next day, Yuki's friends got worried and rushed back after overhearing that wasn't a regular hospital. I don't know how they ignored all the red flags on the first day, but I guess you did the same when you were with your ex. At their arrival, Pecorine's doubt becomes surety as she sees the three girls at the hospital are the Twilight Guild, with Eriko being the Destroyer, Nanaka being the Collector, and Dr. Mitsuki being the One-Eyed Devil. Wanting to save Yuki, the girls sneak into the hospital but get scared upon seeing Eriko inside his room, wanting to make him wear the cursed engagement ring that will bind them together forever. It should have been me, not him. It's not fair. Carol gives them the plan for Kokoro to burn the bugs in another room, so the hospital sneaks up. Eriko gets out of the room to find the source, so Carol and Pecorine save him from behind. As the girls try to drag him out, they get trapped in the staircase with Eriko coming from upstairs and Mitsuki coming from down. Carol pretends to have a stomachache to stall the doctor while the other two sneak out the window, not realizing she has been waiting for a female patient for a long time. And let's just say, Carol will always be remembered for her sacrifice. Yuki is taken to another doctor who tells them he simply has a cold and the rash has been treated quite well already. Upon knowing he was treated by Mitsuki, this normal doctor tells them that she is a good doctor even though scary looking. Relieved at that, they decide to pick Carol up the next day. After Yuki and Carol recover from his hospital ordeal, the four are ready for an adventure. They set out on their first mission together. Even though Carol was resistant to going for the physical labor of harvesting, emotional blackmailing convinced her to go. After traveling through forests and across rivers, they eventually decide to camp overnight near a lake. The four of them get ready to cook some food, which also includes fetching something. Carol tries hard to catch some fish so no one picks up bugs this time. But there is no fish in the sea, but plenty of bugs in Kokoro's sight. As she is whining, Pecorine comes back with some fruits and a hunted bird, saving Carol. The four of them prepare a delicious meal for themselves and have a feast, after which they eat the fruit that Pecorine brought. Kokoro takes a moment before eating the fruit, which is the right thing because currently the other three are high and acting foolishly. Kinda cute seeing Carol cry while hugging her nemesis though. The next day, as everyone wakes up, they witness Yuki staring blankly at them while being in the mouth of a wolf-like monster. Why is he considered a delicacy by all the monsters remains a question. As the monster runs through the forest, it is hunted down, throwing Yuki straight into a tree. The sexual tension between Yuki and passing out is unreal. As he wakes up, he is faced by a small log talking to him, which is a little confusing until a girl, Ao, comes out from behind a tree. She rants about not having any friends and talking to this log so she knows how to behave when she finally makes one. Yuki doesn't even know what the word friend means, while Ao assumes he is also lonely and would like a friend. Her bubble of happiness bursts the moment the girls come looking for Yuki. Ao then helps them reach the Targum village since she lives there. The owner of the farm, Misato, greets them introducing herself, Ao, and a girl named Hatsune who is currently sleeping somewhere. Misato informs them about people from Elizabeth Park, the place where Rima belongs. Rima and her friends, Shioran, Maharu, and Ayan are walking through, among which Shioran has been sick and is currently going to Targum to meet her sister. While resting, the four of them face some shadows that not only have mimicked their appearances but are also copying their attacks. Meanwhile, our gourmet squad finds Hatsune flying in the air while sleeping like my viewers, and she bangs into a bell and somehow doesn't wake up. I think she might be a good soulmate to Yuki. As Rima and the girls continue their battle, doing pretty decent until Christina said get that BS plot armor out of here and attacks everyone in the place. Christina is the girl whom Carol once met. Hatsune tells everyone about her sister Shioran and how excited she is to meet him, unaware that Shioran was attacked and weakened, which led one of the shadows to attack her. Shioran succumbs to the shadow's control, apologizing to Hatsune for always worrying her. As everyone prepares for the harvest, they come to know that Hatsune flying isn't some magic but a superpower. Their conversation is disturbed when the entire village gathers around Rima, Maharu, and Ayan, who sit injured, telling everyone about being attacked by some shadows and losing Shioran in that. Everyone had heard rumors about it but was now sure of the danger. Hatsune wants to rush to save Shioran when the useless group decides to tag along. As they search for Shioran, Hatsune flies above to look for some signs when she gets attacked by an arrow. Seeing the arrow, Hatsune dreads her thoughts, which turn out to be correct. It was indeed Shioran who attacked her, but it is clear that something is off about her. Who walked off like my father. Pecorine decided to go look for Carol, who was feeling down, due to her knowing the danger that the shadows can cause. After cheering her up a bit, Pecorine goes to fight the shadows that are attacking the village. Meanwhile, Yuki and the others have come across Christina and engaged in an intense fight. They attacked her with all their combined strength, but it was like throwing a pebble at a mountain. However, Yuki, who had once again got Chris breezied, gets called up by a meth who tells him that fighting Christina with their current strengths collectively is impossible and he can only save his friends if he awakens his Princess Knight power. As the girls are almost losing against Christina, Yuki wakes up and awakens his powers as well. With that, he was able to increase his friends' magic abilities. But even with their combined powers, they were still not enough to defeat Christina. However, their consistent fight and Yuki's powers welling up in all of them made Christina interested in his skills and retreat since she had enough amusement for the day. Being too hungry to fight, Pecorine lags on her strength a little. Due to Carol's mission to eliminate Pecorine and knowing that the shadows were sent by her boss, she is unsure whether or not she should assist her. Nevertheless, she chooses to do so and wipe the shadows with her. On the other hand, Hatsune holds on to Shioran and enters her body to save her from being completely consumed by the shadow. Motivating her a little, the two of them force the shadow out of Shioran's body, which is then eliminated by the collective attack of Carol and Pecorine. Talk about a peculiar duo. After finishing the battle, Carol is summoned by her master and receives a new mission to spy on Yuki along with Pecorine. However, seeing the dumb acts of the two, Carol doesn't understand what is there to keep an eye on. Carol asks the three to choose a better quest next time rather than something that only pays in food. Wanting to find a nice quest, they come across three girls who want to experience an adventure. They agree and make a map that is safe for them to explore with. And I don't even know who dumbass idea this was, but they chose to put Yuki as their leader. The next day, after sending them off, the girls worry about their well-being and decide to secretly follow them. Them thinking that Yuki being with the little girls would keep them safe is the biggest mistake, because Yuki is as dumb as them and leads them the wrong way. The rest of them try to secretly tell Yuki, but somehow his dumb ass gets the message to go even further deep in. Pecorino decides to try and scare them off to the right path by wearing a monster costume, but somehow the girl who can punch down monsters stupidly gets defeated by 3 little girls. Carol and Kokoro decided to take out the monsters in the path secretly, and just when they were finished, Yuki was somehow kidnapped by a big bird. How does this guy always end up in the mouths of the monsters, since a while back he was in the mouth of another beast? Pecorine had just come to warn the other 2 girls about this big bird when Yuki had already been abducted. The little ones decide to follow the bird and save their monster. 50 points for confidence, minus 250 for absurdity. The girls come to save Yuki, but, as you can probably guess with this useless group, they meet the same fate as him. The 3 girls enter the next when the bird is carrying the unconscious girls into the next. Kokoro rushes through the nest to find Yuki and finds him laying unconscious with a lady mess scarecrow they made for the rice farm they were working at last, showing them that the crops were being ruined by this bird. The bird comes to attack the 3 when Carol halts it with her magic. Kokoro cheers upon Carol to use this magic and defeat it, but finds Carol slumped down since she was not about to hit no more and haven't ate all day, and has been using her magic against different monsters this whole time. And well, let's just say Kokoro going through the same thing as well. Pecorine tries to fight in the costume that she is stuck in, but she is also hungry and cannot do much. As the bird attacks Pecorine violently, the other 2 get scared but find that only the costume was harmed. Pecorine had come out of the costume upon seeing food in the backpack of the little girlies. Having something in her stomach, Pecorine easily defeats the bird and saves the day. The little girls wake up assuming they are the ones who defeated the bird and talk about overconfidence. The elders pretend they are right even though one of the girls feels like all of the monsters are the older acting. She even thinks Yuki was pretending to have gotten abducted, which Yuki gives a thumbs up to as if it were true. Yuki, I think we all know by now, if there's an animal, you'll be the first to know. Kokoro gets some lottery tickets from shopping and tries her luck to win something. To her luck, she ends up winning a trip to the beach, which means it is vacation time for our gourmet guild. Carol is a little unamused with the idea while Kokoro nervously walks up to Yuki asking if the swimming suit looks fine on her since she wore it for the first time. A little weird for validation from her master, but let's give it to her innocence. She then uses his help and learns how to swim with the correct movements. The next day, everyone prepares to get into the water at the beach, but Carol avoids it. It turns out she doesn't know how to swim, so Pecorine gives her a nice cruise on her little rubber floaty. After coming out of the water, Pecorine expresses her tiredness, which is a surprise for the other 3 since she has never been seen exhausted this early. Pecorine lets them in on the secret that the armor she wears gives her the necessary strength and energy and in turn makes her extra hungry. Carol bewilderedly asks why she'd share such a grave secret with them, but Pecorine considers them trustworthy friends of hers. Time for a little guilt trip for Carol. Their attention is suddenly grabbed by a certain Suzume once again getting violently dragged around by her donkey cart. They save her and find out that Saren established a seasonal food hut on the beach for summer. As they enjoy their food, Carol notices the lack of customers and gets to know that they have been attracted more to a food stand by Aquino of the Mercurius Foundation. Carol doesn't understand the concept of hot food in the summer heat, but Aquino walks up to them and calls her a novice for thinking it wouldn't attract people. She then offers Saren to become her business partner. Akio's companion, Mafuyu, tells Saren that Aquino values her even though she sounds arrogant at the moment, which Saren is aware of since they have known each other since childhood. Carol is offended at being called a novice twice in the conversation and takes it personally, making it a quest for them to create a unique menu and attract all customers to Saren's snack hut. As they look around for food, Yukari from Aquino's hut gets drunk to get over the sadness of being single. Her companion throws her into the ocean to sober her up, not realizing that this place is prohibited from swimming in due to the presence of squid monsters, one of which has currently captured Yukari. Yukari is unaware of the danger, enjoying the joyride that she is getting by the squid shaking her. Saren and the company get over there first and Pecorine rushes to Yukari's rescue. Even though she lacks armor, her sword and crown are enough to give her the power to single-handedly eliminate the squid, but only after Carol helped bring it to the land. This not only saves Yukari but gives Saren a giant squid to make food out of. That said, Saren is ready to become business partners with Aquino now that they are equals. Sweet bonding. As a grateful gesture to Kokoro for the trip and others for helping create a unique menu, Carol uses her magic to allow them to breathe in water so they can explore the beautiful world of the ocean. 10. After enjoying their vacation, Yuki and Kokoro go to the restaurant to give the owner his souvenir, only to find out he has been possessed by a certain ghost who is obsessed with puddings. A fortune teller girl named Shinobu walks in and is surprised to notice that Yuki can see the ghost, Miyako. This gives her hope that Yuki can help them with their goal, so they take Yuki and Kokoro to their guild house. After reaching the guild house, they realize they shouldn't have come down so easily, as Shinobu mentions to others about Yuki's powers helping them resurrect their god, Ilya. However, they cannot escape now and are taken to Ilya, the vampire, who is currently in an ice coffin. As she comes out of the coffin, her intimidating aura disappears when she transforms into a little girl. Due to her losing a fight with the gods, she was sealed away, and since she hasn't fully resurrected yet, she keeps transforming into her younger self whenever she comes out of the coffin. They expect Yuki to help her come back to life, but Ilya does not sense any power in his body. However, since her powers are weak, this causes for her own minions to disobey her and somehow, without knowing, Yuki's powers activate and transform her into her original form, releasing a powerful aura. But it was only a little time before she turned back into a little girl. Yuki and Kokoro are about to sneak out when Miyako blocks their way since they dropped and ruined her puddings. And let's just say they deserve all this. Carol awaits their return home but is terrified when a ghost and Shinobu walk back with them. Now, Carol, Yuki, and Kokoro are under intense pressure where they have to make a perfect pudding for Miyako while the actual cook is currently strolling out in the market and helping Akaka's mom. This moment is more intense than any MasterChef finale. As Pecorine returns home, she finds all her friends turned into freaking puddings and lying on the table while a ghost holds a spoon ready to devour them. She offers to make the best pudding and goes ahead to do so. Tasting the most satisfying pudding, the others turn back into humans and Miyako is about to pass on when Pecorine mentions using bugs to make the pudding taste so good. Throwing up, Miyako falls unconscious. Shinobu apologizes for the chaos and carries Miyako back home while the girls start searching for Yuki, whom they haven't seen since he became a mother freaking pudding. The next morning, Carol was trying to sleep in when Pecorine broke through the window thinking something had happened, only to find out she was okay, but her plushie on the other hand wasn't okay anymore. Carol isn't entirely wrong for calling her Dumborine. Kokoro knows about sewing things up, so the three of them go to the city to find some threads to mend Carol's plushie while she cleans up the house. The three of them look around for the threads while two girls are seen to be following them from afar. Not finding the right stuff, they decide to split up and look around. As Yuki looks around, he finds a man being attacked by a shadow and comes to its rescue. This makes the shadow attack him and almost possess him till one of the stalker girls saves him. The girl claims to be his sister and starts ranting about how much she missed him and everything else, confusing Yuki, who has no memories of his past. The other short girl comes along dragging the savior girl away. The two girls stand in an alley as the shorter one, Rino, rants about how they were supposed to keep an eye on Yuki from afar and deal with the shadows appearing in Landisol. The taller one, Shizuru, apologizes for not being able to keep her cool upon seeing him after so long. Rino starts whining about how she wants to talk to her brother too and catch up with him, only to end up receiving the biggest headbutt in the history of anime. Rino swings a little before coming back to her senses and forgetting what she was even talking about. The two then get back to their jobs. Carol leaves happily to report to Her Majesty and even picks up some flowers since she mostly stays inside her castle. However, as she enters the castle, she finds the throne empty and Her Majesty calling her downstairs. Walking down, she sees her putting a mask on one of the shadows, which seems to have transformed its powers differently as she orders it to do her chores. As the shadow walks by Carol, the flowers wither. Her Majesty tells her to not bring such trash in her sacred place, putting down the mood of the poor little girl. Yuki and Kokoro meet up and decide to have some food when Kokoro walks up to the fountain to get some water to clean a stain on Yuki's shirt. She is interrupted by Rino, who claims she is a little too close to her brother. Kokoro tells her she has been serving Yuki on orders of Lady Omneth when Rino receives yet another hard headbutt from Shizuru. Their introduction is cut short when they notice Yuki disappeared. Kokoro catches up to Pecorine, informing her about Yuki. They hear some men talking about a guy getting abducted and walking up to the shady place. As they enter, they find Charles instead of Yuki there. He had flirted with the fatty foodie's girlfriend and got abducted by his men. Upon seeing Pecorine, the fatty guy forgave Charles and let the three go. Meanwhile, Rino and Shizuru are simultaneously fighting off the randomly appearing shadows in the city. The four of them walk up to the guild to declare a quest to find out Yuki, only for Karin to mention that Yuki came by to the guild. As if on cue, Yuki walks back dirtied as if he went somewhere and carrying a rainbow silkworm. It turns out that Yuki had seen Eriko while eating his sandwich, so he ran away and ended up finding the quest about silkworms. He figured this would be perfect for the material they needed and went on his own to find it. Seeing him survive through a quest on his own makes it seem like he might have grown a little out of the dumbness he has been carrying lately. As the three of them sit outside, Rino and Shizuru are glad their brother's kindness remains alive, and he is safe with his friends, and take their leaves. As Carol walks back home, she worries about the new kinds of shadows she saw with her master earlier, and wonders if what she has been doing is right. She lifts her expression to enter the house pretending to be lively but finds it as dark and gloomy as her mood right now. Her friends exclaim from behind while waving the now mended plushie in Pecorine's hand, lifting Carol's mood for real this time. Pecorine has an awful dream where her parents refuse to recognize her. The next day, Carol finds something wrong in the breakfast and it turns out that the luxury is missing in the simple breakfast. Pecorine tells them about a monster blocking the city's trade routes, which is causing a shortage of supplies. The rank of the quest is dangerous and Carol is against getting involved in that stuff, but when have we exactly listened to her? Not only it is decided that the quest will be taken by them, but the plan involves putting in danger the one who is the most against it. Carol lures the monster to follow her so she can take it to where the others are, and after slamming it into the ground, Pecorine hits her with her princess strike attack. This makes them earn the praise and respect of the entire town. With this accomplishment, they walk to the crepe store that Yuki and Kokoro went to on their first day in Landisol, but we are only realizing now that it is run by Yuki's sisters and their master. Yuki went to sleep that night and got flashbacks of his party being defeated in battle while he helplessly watched them. This brings him to a meth who tells him that it was both a reality and a dream, and it could be both his past and his future. Quite a confusing statement for someone who already struggles with his memories. The next day, the three have lunch in the restaurant while they wonder where Carol went. Carol is feeding some cats when Charlie and Akaki catch up to her. As they are walking, the town is attacked by a giant shadow monster. The masked monster that Carol sought in her master's castle, but after feeding off on a lot of humans, it has become a powerful giant. Hearing the noises, Pecorine runs out to find out what happened. Charlie and Akaki come to her informing her of the news and how Carol went off somewhere. Pecorine rushes towards the monster claiming that she needs to protect the city at every cost. After saving a few citizens, Pecorine faces the monster who keeps regenerating itself. Carol, who had been watching all of this from hiding, suddenly comes out worrying about Pecorine, but the monster suddenly aims at Carol and rushes towards her. Pecorine jumps in front of her, ready to sacrifice herself. As Yuki and Kokoro catch up to them, Pecorine and Carol are once again attacked by the monster as they fall, but Carol finds herself safe with just a rock trapping her foot. Why is she safe? Because Pecorine shadowed her, blocking any rocks that might fall on her. She even stands still as the monster punches her back. Handing her the shoulder guard to keep her safe, Pecorine walks towards the shadow, ready to attack it with all the strength she has left. Carol resists Pecorine, doing so because she doesn't want Pecorine to sacrifice herself for her sake. With the last impact, a part of the monster's chest is blown up as Pecorine falls lifeless on the ground. Carol cries, feeling guilty that Pecorine keeps doing that for her while she has thought of abandoning Pecorine multiple times. Well, you always came out to save her against Her Majesty's monster, so you aren't as evil as you think you are. The monster regenerates itself and Yuki attempts to use his power, but the memories of his past come rushing at the worst moment, causing the poor guy to fall weak. Much to their luck, all of them are teleported somewhere else while walls build up surrounding the shadow. Yuki comes across the crepe shop lady who tells him that the shop is just her cover. Meanwhile, Kokoro finds herself in a castle and comes across a portrait of Pecorine with her parents. When Kokoro finds out Pecorine's true identity of being the lost princess of the kingdom, Pecorine reveals the harsh past to her. Her parents had sent her out on a venture to explore the kingdom and see the people from their level. But when she came back after achieving everything, nobody in the kingdom remembered who she was, including her mother and father, and was banished from the kingdom. Everyone saw the woman who is Carol's Majesty as Princess Justiana instead of Pecorine. This is why the real Justiana, or Pecorine, had always been so expressive and clingy, since she feared her new friends would forget her too. Carol overhears her dumbarine and walks away towards the monster. Labarista, the crepe shop lady, reveals to Yuki that she has been around him since he appeared back in this world and is aware that Amath is slowly trying to retrieve his memories. She tells him how his memories have both the power to save the world and destroy his existence, so it is entirely on him about what he needs to do. She tells him everything about how shadows and stuff like that will always appear around him because monsters come after powerful souls. She also mentions this world being the result of the battle between him and the will of someone who wants such evil. As everyone searches for Pecorine and others, the palace knights appear there but are mocked by the citizens for always being late. Christina appears there as she turns out to be the vice captain of the knights. She tries to hint that in a nation of humans, why is a beast sitting on the throne, along with mentioning how questionable it is that a huge monster appeared in the capital without the notice of any royal guard. Carol goes to fight the monster alone, doubting her decision to aid her master in battle. Pecorine comes to her rescue, telling her that she may be selfish, but she wants Carol to assist her in defeating the monster. Carol calls her stupid but proceeds to help her as Kokoro watches from afar. Labarista tells Yuki that all of the people in the labyrinth will try and protect his friends, but the guy is willing to protect his friends on his own. As if on cue, Reno and Shizuru connect with Labarista, asking if they should intervene in saving Yuki's friends, but she tells them not to worry about as she teleports herself and Yuki to where the girls are. As the girls fight, Yuki is teleported in the air, the moss forgetting it and ready to face it. He awakens his power, letting the party collaborate and attack together and wipe out the monster with a powerful blow. After finishing the monster, they are returned to their world, which is currently worried and saddened at their disappearance. Seeing them fall back into the restaurant from nowhere, everyone rushes to them, cheering on them that they are safe and back. Pecorine hugs Carol, mentioning how much she loves her, and for the first time, Carol hugs her back. This can't be the end of their journey and adventures, but rather just the beginning of something more important as they continue to thrive for their gourmet guild to enjoy all kinds of meals together. Now with a delightful tone, portraying the morning routines of Yuki, Kokoro, and the ever-sleeping Kara, Pecorine captivates atop of a building, gazing fondly at the kingdom of Landisol. While the group enjoys breakfast, Kokoro reveals a map leading to a fabled seasoning. As a guild dedicated to discovering delectable cuisine worldwide, this quest is an ideal fit, and they eagerly accept the challenge. However, making their way on this journey to find the legendary seasoning, they encounter unexpected obstacles, and well, as you may remember, Yuki and wolves never got along, and well, let's just say that did not indeed change. Even though the wolves acted like they were friendly at first, just to trick him. They head towards a village where they ask a villager if he knew anything about the map. However, he tells them he isn't no Dora the Explorer, but warns them of the monsters in the forest. The group enters the forest in a cheerful mood, but it was quickly demolished after Carol realized they had no food and the only option were bugs. Pecorine decides to go look for food alongside Yuki. However, let's just say Yuki was having a bit of a problem again. Yuki decides to make himself bait in order to get some food. Even though I think we can all agree if it's Yuki, he doesn't need to try. As the trap works successfully, the group begins to enjoy the delicious mysterious meat. Feeling energetic once again, they are ready to set back off into their journey. However, they are quickly surrounded by big fluffy what even are these things. Anyway, Carol begins to realize that Pecorine had fed them these fur bones, and let's just say they almost died in probably the dumbest way possible thanks to her. After consuming the poisonous meat and becoming paralyzed, a mysterious adventurer comes to their rescue, explaining to them about the map and how he went on all sorts of adventures in his golden days. He agrees to help them out in their quest and show them the way. As they arrive at their location, three ghosts suddenly appear, instantly attacking the group as the old fellow that led them stands still watching them. However, the group quickly realizes that this is the man's old guild members and decides to put them to rest alongside the old man. Although they fail to complete the mission due to a comical mishap, they learn the true essence of being adventurers. It's not just about completing quests, but the unforgettable journey and cherished memories forged with their party. Although me personally, I would have just wanted the treasure, but you know, anyways. The gang's adventure remains hilariously entertaining. Yuki, the perpetually clueless protagonist, once again finds himself being pulled along by the wolves they encountered at the beginning of their journey. Although Yuki attempted to befriend the wolves instead of attacking them this time. It's a small indication that, despite his enduring dimwittedness, Yuki is slowly undergoing some character development. As for the rest of the group, they are just completely useless like yourself. Carol continues with her nagging Tsunyur attitude, Kokoro shows her unwavering care for others, and Pecorino retains her insatiable appetite and carefree princess demeanor. Anyways though, Carol, delving into her double life as it unfolds, she continues to accompany the Gourmet Guild on their adventures while secretly reporting to her master about their activities. However, Carol finds herself torn and confused about her true identity, whether she is a spy or a princess knight, comparable to Pecorine's captivating runaway princess story. Meanwhile, Yuki goes into a shop to deliver a silky thread when he is literally captured of Chef as Pecorine and Kokoro talk about Pecorine's secret of actually being the queen of the nation. After their talk, they walk into a shop, spotting Yuki dressed in girly clothes by the idol Carmina, who is part of a guild whose members possess singing, dancing, and combat talents. They put on live concerts, but never really get to finish the way they plan it since monsters show up every time. Carol also walks in, and let's just say she got first-hand trauma. As the two guilds were eating and enjoying chatting, Yuki got cake on his clothes and decides to go outside to wash them. Just then he is approached by a gang named the Carmina Club, a fan group of the idol group, proclaiming whoever messes with their favorites idols will go to hell. As Yuki was about to be handled, the idol group started singing, and somehow Yuki became the king of the new guild. Guess even Yuki got some good luck in him at times. The following day, their concert begins as the crowd goes wild for this performance. Carol and Christina decide to protect them from the out-of-control shadows for a change so they could have the perfect performance. The next day, the lonely elf girl, Aoi, comes into town with, of course, her wooden friend, telling Yuki and Kokoro that she transferred to Teresa's academy, an all-girls school, and it sure wasn't by choice. They decide to visit the academy, but she quickly gets nervous, thinking that everyone would make fun of her. Yuki tells her that they won't abandon her to visit the school alone. causing Aoi to call Yuki the captain, but he instantly refuses. As they enter the library, Aoi explains to them that the library is also known as the Ivory Tower, having books on history, magic, and even philosophy. Yuki begins to wander around when he notices feet under buried books. As Yuki lifts up a book, he discovers a girl under them. However, if you remember the last time Yuki did a good act for a girl, it truly backfired, and I think he learned his lesson. So he decides to put the book down and pretend like he ain't see shit. The girl introduces herself as Uni, and well, for the book she explains that she was looking for a specific book when the books collapsed on her, causing her back to basically give up on life. As she gets up, two girls enter the room introducing themselves as Chioru and Chloe, who are Uni's best friends, and despite not being from privileged backgrounds, they come together to strive for a scholarship to continue their studies. Uni asks assistance from AI and the Gourmet Guild to investigate the mysterious case of the Green Guardians behind their school that blocks the route to the academy. After explaining the situation to Yuki, Kokoro, and Aoi, the group embarks on the forest expedition to unravel its mysteries. As they venture deeper, they stumble upon a peculiar graveyard, leaving AI, despite her familiarity with the forest, surprised by its existence. The gravestone markings are unfamiliar, and their repeated encounters with the same graveyard give the group an eerie sensation. In an attempt to determine their location, Uni consults her stone Rosetta, leading to an unsettling conversation. Frightened by the situation, the group hastily retreats, only to stumble upon the Green Guardians, comically scarecrow-like figures created by Aoi for communication. In an embarrassed moment, she snaps everyone's necks to hide her secret. Things take a more peculiar turn after the discovery of the forest's Green Guardians. As Aoi falls unconscious due to an ambush by a skeleton army, the scene glitches, and suddenly Pecorine, Yuki, and Uni find themselves transported to another world. Nevertheless, it reveals a tragic tale within that world. Understanding the circumstances, Pecorine makes a bold move, filling the missing piece that the Skeleton King had longed for. An intense fight against a formidable witch causing a huge destruction shakes Yuki to his core. Oh, but it was just a dream. With little time to dwell on it, Pecorine hastily whisks them away on their next quest. Before they know it, the members of the Gourmet Guild find themselves fleeing for their lives, pursued by a colossal monster who is after their flesh. In an unexpected turn of events, Yuki is swatted aside and whisked away via jet vertical. They didn't about what awaits him. Luckily, Makoto and the other members of Kaon, a guild specializing in aiding beast folk, come to Yuki's rescue. They swiftly catch up with the rest of the group and conquer the monstrous threat together. As the dust settles, Pecorine, Kokoro, and Yuki waste no time in preparing a sumptuous feast using the defeated monster's remains. Makoto and the others can't help but feel a mix of awe and unease. Unbeknownst to them, Kaon is actively investigating the mysterious emergence of shadows on the island. Recognizing their expertise in dealing with such matters, Pecorine extends an offer to assist Canon in their investigations. While on their mission, Carol couldn't help but think about the ring Her Majesty had given her. As the sun began to set, they were attacked by a group of shadows, but they managed to defeat them. To their surprise, they encountered another Kaiser, a shadow that had taken her form but was not aggressive. They took the shadow, whom they named Kiri, home with them, hoping to learn more about the shadows. The next day, they followed the shadows to find them converging towards a golem, which was effortlessly defeating the shadows. At night, a girl claiming to be a metamorphic appeared, explaining that the shadows were after her, and that her main body was trapped inside the golem. Distressed to find that Yuki had lost his memories, she warned them to evacuate the people as the shadows were about to attack. Worried about the lack of a big enough boat for evacuation, they decided to confront the shadows and the golem head-on. They entered the golem and discovered the girl trapped in a crystal. They fought the shadows controlling the golem, but were eventually thrown out. Undeterred, Pecorine kept attacking the golem until she ran out of power and was suddenly teleported to Landisol Castle. After Pecorine suddenly disappeared, the group was shocked, and the shadows continued their advance towards the village. In the Landisol Palace's throne room, Pecorine faced the one who usurped her kingdom, Mana Senri, also known as Kaiser Insight. Mana explained that she brought Pecorine here to test her kindness and good-heartedness, intending to feast on her despair. Manipulating Pecorine's fear of being forgotten, Mana managed to scare her about her friends forgetting her. Meanwhile, some viruses infiltrated Kiri's cell, but Yuki arrived just in time to save her. He experienced a flashback revealing that the shadows represented bugs in their world, used by someone rather than eliminated. The reason behind the Shadow's pursuit of Kiri remained a mystery. Kiri volunteered to act as bait to help the group defeat the Shadow Army. They planned to lead the Shadows to a lake where Kokoro's glider would take them back to Makoto and the others. However, the plan faced obstacles when a beam of light struck Kiri, rendering her unconscious and causing her body to vanish. Yuki desperately tried to save her using healing magic, but it proved futile. In her dying moments, Kiri thanked them for caring about her, leaving them emotional. While trying to heal Kiri, Yuki witnessed memories he wasn't supposed to know about, including an alternate version of Kasumi holding a cat named Kiri. A meth explained that Yuki accidentally encountered a premature memory that he wasn't meant to witness. In another world, Queen Lavarist orchestrated these events. Although Kiri seemingly died, a meth managed to preserve her consciousness and promised to protect her. With Kiri's apparent death, the shadows continued their march, and Yuki and his friends joined the battle. In the original version of the world, Yuki and his female companions fought a fierce battle against Kaiser, resulting in a desperate situation with severe injuries. Presented with a crucial decision by Lavarist and a meth, Yuki had to choose between fighting a futile battle or allowing them to reset the world, giving everyone a second chance to achieve victory. This choice meant sacrificing his friendships and memories. Despite the sacrifices, Yuki made the obvious choice to save his cherished friends. Meanwhile, Pecorine asked Mana for a meal together to understand her, but Mana declined. Pecorine vowed to reclaim her kingdom and everything stolen by Mana, and she returned to Earth to join her friends in the fight against the Shadow Army. As she descended from the sky, she unleashed her most potent attack, Princess Strike, defeating the monster and saving everyone. In the city of Landisol, a mysterious knight is causing trouble by killing people and disturbing the peace. Determined to restore order and allow people to enjoy their meals in peace, Pecorine takes it upon herself to put an end to the chaos. However, the situation becomes more complicated when a bridge collapses due to the incompetence of a troublesome guild called Weissflügel. The guild, consisting of spies with selfish interests, tends to create chaos and trouble for those around them. Among the guild members, there's a young girl with constant flirtatious behavior, a self-centered girl, a masochist, and a samurai. The guild's leader calls for everyone to search for more quests to earn money for their homeland. But their past actions have left them quite useless. They recall a time when they defeated a monster, but the samurai girl's obsession with bombs resulted in blowing up the entire bridge, leaving them in debt. Meanwhile, a restaurant owner and maid panic while searching for a red-haired girl who used to dance at their restaurant but has been behaving strangely after using a potion from Mitsuki of Twilight Caravan. Potion causes various issues affecting both mind and body. Yuki becomes shocked upon hearing this and starts searching for the girl. Yuki eventually encounters the red-haired girl named Kyuka, engrossed in erotic books. He is surprised by her behavior and, upon learning that the books don't belong to her, he decides to burn them, much to Kyuka's protests. As they continue their search, they come across the elusive knight and are attacked. But a mysterious swordsman comes to their aid and drives the knight away. Kyuka becomes angry with her guildmates for wasting time on their obsessions, and they stumble upon a green sticky substance that brings toys to life, creating a craze among the people to buy them. They start digging to find more of it, but the substance explodes, taking them with it. Kokoro finds the mysterious swordsman and heals his injury, but the knight attacks again. Tomo, a member of Weissflügel, believes that the knight is their captain but is relieved when their real captain arrives to help. They discover that the knight's armor is empty and the green substance controls it. Yuki and the others arrive, and they all engage in a fierce battle with the monstrous green entity, which merges with the knight and becomes more powerful. The residents of the city, including the restaurant owner, come to assist them. They manage to lure Kyuka's guild out of the sticky substance, which makes Kyuka emotional. Pecorine deals the finishing blow to the monster with her Princess Strike. After the ordeal, Tomo speaks with her captain, expressing her trust that he was not responsible for the chaos. Kyuka thanks the group for saving her and starts to develop some positive feelings for the nation of Landisol. Chika was seen running through the forest, struggling as her memories faded, and even her own name slipped from her mind. Meanwhile, Yuki was experiencing fragments of his memories, but Carol urged him to focus and return to their work. After their tasks, they all gathered for lunch, and Pecorine proposed a game where the last person to arrive pays the bill. Yuki joined the race, accidentally bumping into Ayan and Kurumi, who were fleeing from bees. They explained that they lived with Miss Saren, who had opened a new store and wanted to treat them to hot lemonade with fresh honey. During their lunch outing, they encountered Chika on the road, who had lost all her memories and was fainting. They brought her to Cockatrice's nest, where Yuki returned with Nozomi to heal her. However, things took a chaotic turn when Kurumi began acting strangely and attacked Charlie, accusing him of breaking promises. Chika also woke up, acting like a dog, and both of them caused havoc in the restaurant. Gan realized that it wasn't Chika but rather Pukichi inhabiting her body, and he knew that Ayan would figure it out. Eventually, Chika returned to her senses and revealed that the mischief was the work of a mischievous spirit named Foggy. Everyone was losing memories and changing with new ones, and Foggy was enjoying the spectacle. Pecorine and Carol were assigned a new mission to confront Foggy. They arrived near the spring lake but had a realization, so they hurried back to Cockatrice's nest. Carol managed to pull Pukichi out, revealing that Foggy was hiding with him. Pecorine's powerful attack failed to harm Foggy, and the spirit split into four and fought back. During the battle, Yuki experienced an old memory of spending time with his friends before embarking on a quest to Sol Tower. Returning to the present, Yuki activated his Princess Knight support magic, allowing Chika and Nozomi to defeat Foggy. As Kokoro noticed that everyone was back to normal, she saw a newfound intensity in Yuki's eyes. Kokoro was busy writing a letter while Pecorine worked diligently in the rice field. As Kokoro headed to the post office to mail numerous letters, she encountered two girls who were hesitant to post their own letters. Encouraging each other, they finally stepped aside, and Kokoro deposited her letters. However, at that moment, an armed group of thieves barged in and stole all the gold and mails. The two girls, Susanna and Misaki, were desperate to retrieve their letters. Kokoro revealed that she had sent her fairies to follow the thieves, making tracking them easier. Curious about the importance of the girls' letters, Susanna and Misaki explained that they believed their bad grades were responsible for their school closing. They wanted to apply to another school without the recommendation letter from their supportive teacher, which was among the stolen items. Desperate to get back their letters, the girls devised a plan. Misaki tried to distract the thieves with her adult charm, but it didn't go as expected, and she was caught. Meanwhile, Carol spotted Her Majesty, Christina, and started following her, but was warned to be careful. Yuki was preoccupied with memories he had regained of his past adventures with old friends. When he discussed these memories with Labarista, she didn't reveal much but assured him that his old friends were still alive, and that he had new friends to protect. While Pecorine worked in the rice field, she had a vision of her past self, worrying that her friends would forget about her. She hesitated to share the story of Princess Justiana with Yuki, Carol, and Kokoro, fearing they might leave her after learning the truth. Susanna and Misaki managed to retrieve their letters with Kokoro's help. As they tried to escape, the thieves caught up to them, but Tomo, the royal guard, and their teacher, Miss Lowe, arrived with guards and defeated the thieves, saving their lives. Later, when Kokoro went to the post office to send her letter, Susanna and Misaki decided not to send theirs, believing that Miss Lowe trusted them. Yuki, Pecorine, and Carol joined Kokoro in the rice field, but it was too much work for them alone. To their surprise, Kokoro had invited all their friends to help through letters. Pecorine was overwhelmed by the unexpected presence of all her friends, and tears of happiness filled her eyes. In her joy, she decided to reveal to Yuki and Carol that she was Princess Justiana. Pecorine had decided to reveal her identity as Princess Justiana to Carol and Yuki, but when she approached Carol, she became confused and chose to wait for the right moment. Instead, Carol prepared rice balls to bring to Mana Senri, who seemed stressed and having trouble sleeping. Carol comforted her by holding her hand, and Mana felt relieved and eventually fell asleep. When Mana woke up, she found Carol sleeping by her side with the rice balls. Carol apologized for falling asleep and invited Mana to eat with her, taking care to avoid adding pickles, knowing that Mana disliked them. Meanwhile, they learned about an upcoming festival and made plans to attend. During the festival, they coincidentally encountered Carol and invited her to join them. While at the festival, they met Labarista, Shizuru, and Reno, who were also present. Labarista offered Yuki a new crepe flavor and asked about his well-being. Yuki assured her that he was fine and expressed his determination to protect his friends. Labarista was reassured by Yuki's resolution. Back in Mana's castle, she suddenly found herself transported to another dimension for a battle. Meanwhile, at the festival, Pecorine was still contemplating whether to reveal her true identity to Carol and Yuki. Kokoro took Yuki away, creating an opportunity for Pecorine to talk to Carol. The festival was filled with games and fun, but Pecorine remained preoccupied with her thoughts. In the other dimension, Mana and Labarista engaged in a fierce battle. Mana displayed powers of a Metamorignant, capable of replicating various abilities. However, she was shocked when Labarista used her power Ito Tensei, creating something from nothing. The battle intensified as Mana attacked Labarista with a moon, but Labarista countered with her own moon, causing a massive explosion. Despite her diminished power from excessive diving, Mana remained defiant, not caring how many of the 7 crowns came to defeat her. Labarista revealed that outside the dimension, Rito and Shizuru, her guildmates, were keeping Mana's shadows at bay, weakening her strength. Labarista had learned from their previous battle and was fully prepared this time. She closed in for the final blow, but Mana hesitated, using the ring she had given Carol to pull her into the dimension and use her as a shield. This hesitation allowed a copy of Mana to stab Labarista in the back, leading to her defeat. As Labarista passed away, she felt sorry for involving Carol in the battle. After defeating Labarista, Mana Senri swiftly moved forward with her dangerous plan. Pecorine and Kokoro became concerned when Carol hadn't returned home, but then they heard Yuki calling out to them. Miyako and Shinobu arrived at the Gourmet Guild and revealed that Carol had been manipulated by Mana during her fight with Lavarista. Now, Mana was intent on draining Landisol and its inhabitants dry. In a shocking turn of events, Diablos fell victim to an attack, leaving only Miyako and Shinobu to escape and share the dire news. Using Lavarista's powers, Mana sealed off the entire city of Landisol and unleashed shadows to attack the people. The Gourmet Guild members rushed to help the panicking residents, who sought help from Princess Justiana at the castle. However, Mana had concealed the castle using Lavarista's powers, adding to the chaos. Inside the castle, Mana sat on the throne, with Carol under her control. She ordered Carol to continue with the plan, and Carol attacked the gathered people outside the castle. Pecorine intervened to defend against Carol's attacks, but Carol seemed cold and distant, claiming that time could not be turned back. Yuki experienced a flashback and lost consciousness. Shadows attacked them, but they were saved by Akachi, Yasoko, and Charlie. Meanwhile, Pecorine confronted Carol, asking her why she had abandoned the Gourmet Guild and forgotten their cherished memories. Carol seemed conflicted but was controlled by Mana, forcing her to attack Pecorine once again. In the midst of the chaos, Uni's communication stones revealed a shocking truth. The person on the throne was not the real Princess Justiana, and the real princess was among them. This revelation caused confusion and chaos among the crowd. Mana grew furious and ordered Carol to kill everyone, but Carol resisted, stating that she couldn't do it anymore. However, Mana refused to let her back down and controlled her using strings, forcing her to continue the attack. Uni started a live broadcast with the help of the stones, revealing Carol's internal struggle and resistance. Seeing Carol in tears, Pecorine stood up to stop her and proclaimed herself to be the true Princess Justiana. She vowed to put an end to Mana's deception and reclaim her kingdom. As Mana caught Carol and prepared to harm her, Pecorine remained determined to rescue her friend. She advanced towards Mana, but Mana had already prepared another opponent for her, Jun, the commander of the castle guards, under Mana's control. Meanwhile, the members of the Twilight Caravan embarked on a mission to free Metamorignant's body from underground the castle, but they encountered Christina, who proved to be stronger than they expected. Kokoro ran through the streets with her friends, carrying the unconscious Yuki on their back, pursued by relentless shadows. Suddenly, a colossal shadow emerged, destroying the bridge in their path. Kokoro blacked out and found herself in a strange world, where she met a meth. A meth revealed that she had been attempting to establish a connection, causing Kokoro's blackouts. She entrusted Kokoro with the key to Yuki's power, warning her of the dangers if he loses control. Kokoro regained consciousness, and with the help of the little girls, they managed to defeat the colossal shadow. Returning to the fight between Pecorine and Jun, Pecorine got severely injured as Jun overpowered her. Carol couldn't bear to see Pecorine hurt and asked her to run, but Mana forced her to watch the battle. Mana then proceeded to chain the Sol Tower, leaving everyone wondering about her true intentions. The members of the Twilight Caravan continued their fight against Christina but found her to be too powerful. Ruka and Anna arrived to provide backup, but Christina proved to be a formidable opponent. Eriko attempted to reach Metamorignant's body, unaware of the horror that awaited her. Carol's strength continued to weaken, and Yuki managed to break Mana's grip on his mind. Together, they confronted Mana, and Jun shielded Pecorine from Mana's attack. With Jun's help, Pecorine unleashed her full strength and defeated the shadow of Mana with 2 decisive princess strikes. However, their joy was short-lived when they realized that the Mana they fought was merely a shadow. The true Mana Senri emerged from underground and defeated Jun with a single attack. She then targeted Pecorine and Carol, intending to sacrifice them. Yuki arrived and rescued them, confronting the real Mana in a final showdown. As all the members of the Gourmet Guild gathered, Yuki and Pecorine fought with all their might, but their attempts to reach Mana Senri proved futile. However, the unwavering support and belief from the people around them gave them immense power, and Pecorine finally broke through the barrier to reach Mana. But Mana retaliated by summoning Lavarista and Nenica to attack them. In a dire moment, Carol shielded them from Mana's attacks, and she tried to reach out to Mana, inviting her to have lunch together. However, Mana did not accept the offer, remaining steadfast in her goal of ending the world. Meanwhile, Tomo saved her vice captain, but even with Carol's help, they were no match for Mana's power. Mana captured Pecorine and subjected her to electric shocks, causing immense anguish. Pecorine questioned why Mana carried so much sadness, which only seemed to make her angrier, leading her to pull the Tower of Sol in an attempt to summon someone named Minerva back to her. The people of the kingdom held on to their belief in the princess and her friends, who were still fighting against the shadows. Yuki unleashed his powers through Kokoro's utilization of a meth's key, shattering Mana's barriers and freeing Lavarista and Metamorignant, turning the tide in their favor. Though Mana appeared to be defeated, she gave in to the shadows and sacrificed herself to fulfill her dream. Witnessing Mana's struggle, Pecorine rushed to Carol's side, declaring her commitment to saving her. Yuki and Kokoro stood with her, supported by their friends from all the guilds in the kingdom, as they created an opportunity to enter the monstrous shadow. While Pecorine, Yuki, and Kokoro battled the shadows, Carol made her way to the court, determined to rescue Mana. However, Yuki stepped in front of Pecorine and sustained a grave injury. The situation became perilous, and Labarista Enomet suggested extracting his consciousness and reversing time to send him back. But this time, Yuki refused, fully aware of the potential consequences. He would not abandon the bonds he had formed. Carol reached Mana Senri and caught her hand as she descended toward the abyss. Despite Mana's urging, Carol refused to let go and pulled them both out of the core. They returned to Landisol, where Mana Senri was imprisoned. Pecorine reunited with her parents and reclaimed her rightful place in the royal family. Yuki, Carol, and Kokoro returned to their home. As they were about to enjoy a fish dinner together, a girl walked in expressing her desire to join the gourmet guild, introducing herself as Pecorine.